So now Blake Lively's team is bringing Vin Diesel into this. Hi and welcome to Flawsome Talk. I'm Shashti Flo, and here on my channel I talk about my good and bad experiences in Hollywood working as an entertainment reporter. And as you know, a lot about Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni's legal drama. Today, the docket is full again. So much filings, you guys. These lawyers are making big bucks by just arguing back and forth about when they should deliver these documents, that we need more of this, we need more time. These people haven't done what they're supposed to do. It's a lot. Interestingly enough, though, there is one thing here that I really caught my attention. I was like reading a document and I was like, Vin Diesel? So now Blake Lively's team is bringing Vin Diesel into this. Not that he has anything to do with this case, but they're using him to make a point. They're saying here that because Brian Friedman, Justin Baldoni's lawyer, is also representing Vin Diesel in another case, and in that case, Vin Diesel did not show up at his deposition, Brian Friedman should not point fingers at Blake Lively because she has delayed her deposition, which they're saying that she really didn't do. Right, makes sense of that. So they're pointing out that he is defending Vin Diesel, and that case is an SA case that Vin Diesel's been accused by a previous co-star from one of the Fast and Furious movies, or an extra or something. I don't know all the details about that story, but Brian Friedman is defending him. And guess what? A few days ago, there was a story on TMZ that Brian Friedman had been aggressive in a meeting with the plaintiff's lawyer because Vin Diesel didn't show up at his deposition. There was a fight between Brian Friedman and her lawyer. Brian Friedman had, according to TMZ, threatened the other attorney and kind of into like a fist fight, like physical. It doesn't make any sense to me whatsoever. And I feel like when you've looked at Brian Friedman and see his demeanor, I find it really hard to believe that he would just completely lose control over his own emotions like that. So yeah, I find it really far-fetched. But of course, this is what Blake Lively's team now is using to show that Brian Friedman is shady, just to paint a picture of him and to smear him a little bit more so that he will lose some of his credibility in this case. I have to add here that I've been dealing with Vin Diesel a few times. I've interviewed him probably like 7 or 8 times, and every time he is so late. He is like late on another level of any other celebrity I've ever met. He was 7 hours late to a interview that I was doing with him once. I was so exhausted by the time that he sat down. I was like, wow. So good luck at getting him to show up at anything. I also feel that that was one of the reasons why The Rock got so upset with him, that he was, he was always late. He didn't show up on set. It cost the production a lot of money to wait for him and stuff like that. So, but I don't know, as I said, anything of the details of what he's been accused of here. So I'm not going to comment on that. But I do find it very shady that Blake Lively's team is using this to paint him in a bad light, especially dragging in the name of another big celebrity, because that's exactly what they've been accusing Baldoni's team of doing when they dragged in Taylor Swift. They're like, oh, they just want to bring in big names just for clicks and PR. And this is exactly what they're doing themselves here. So, yeah.
Were you like this all through COVID?
What do you mean? Oh, God. Oh, God. How are you?
I'm good. Thank you.
Did you get to see the movie?
Yes, of course I got to see them.
They're also asking at the same time, they're saying that it's not their fault things have been delayed here, that it's all Baldoni's team's fault and Wayfarer because they're the ones who haven't delivered on time. And at the same time, they're asking for more time. It's a lot of contradictions here. So they're asking for a new deadline for depositions. So to be moved from August 14th to September 30th. By that time, all depositions of the 20 people they're deposing should be done. And they're also saying that the deadline for all parties to finish all their producing of documents, like all their evidence, is the July 25th, which is just like 15 days away. They're also saying that Blake Lively is really excited. No, they're not saying she's excited, but they're saying that she is so willing to testify, and that Brian Friedman has been saying she's not, and she's scared of meeting him, and she's scared of being deposed, is completely false. Okay, so you remember that they wanted 50,000 hours of film, and and then Baldoni's team was making fun of that, saying like that's 5 years of filming. They do admit that they have 150 hours of film though, and they have given most of that, it seems, to Blake Lively already. But Blake Lively's been complaining that there's no audio there, so she needs the audio. She just continues to ask for more and more because she can't find any evidence. And as I said yesterday, the reason why she's on this fishing expedition is so that she can create stories around what happened on set after she's viewed the video footage again. The thing is, as Baldoni's lawyers pointed out as well, she's seen all this footage because she edited the movie. So what new is she going to find? Nothing. But if she can see it fresh again, maybe she can make up some new narratives of what could have happened. She also wants to move her deposition from Brian Friedman's office to her lawyer's office because she feels unsafe being at Brian Friedman's office, and she's a big celebrity and she needs protection. I don't know how she's going to be more protected in his office than Brian Friedman's office. As you know, depositions are recorded on video, so it's not like she thinks that there are going to be any hidden video cameras or anything like that. She's going to be on camera when she's being interviewed by Brian Friedman. So there's another source commenting on this, to Rob Shooter, that I mentioned yesterday as well. It seems like he has a Substack, and it seems like he has some insider here that's giving him some scoops. He says here that sources tell Shooter Scoop that Ryan Reynolds wanted to attend wife Blake Lively's deposition next week in her legal showdown, but her legal team shut him down. So her legal team didn't want Ryan Reynolds there. That's interesting. And they told him this isn't Hollywood, it's a legal fight, and he's a distraction. And it says here that Blake agreed to go solo, though reluctantly. She loves him, but this is war, the source says. Whether it shakes their famously strong marriage remains to be seen, but for now, Ryan's role off camera and off limits. Of course, he's not a part of this lawsuit anymore because the part where he was accused is dismissed. But I do find it interesting that her team is saying we don't want Ryan there because he's a distraction to her. So that means that they don't think that him being there is a support for her. Maybe he's going to put too much pressure on her and be like, why did you say that? You shouldn't have said that. I can imagine him being like that. Remember how he was screaming at Justin Baldoni for fat shaming Blake Lively? I can just imagine what Ryan Reynolds looks like when he's angry, and I don't want to be there. Anyway, someone sent me this interview with Armie Hammer. I'm going to explain what he has to do with this right now, because he is, as you know, canceled for cheating on his wife and for also being like a cannibal. He sent some really disturbing text messages to some women, and he was basically canceled from Hollywood. He went away for a while, and now he's trying to come back, and he's being guests on a few podcasts. And as you know, he was playing Blake Lively's love interest on Gossip Girl for a hot minute, and he's been kind of refusing to talk about that. And then he was on Billy Bush a while back, and Billy Bush was pressuring him. And then he said that he was doing acting classes with Justin Baldoni, and Baldoni seemed like a really nice guy. He didn't really know him that well, but he refused to comment on the situation because he didn't want to be dragged into more drama. He had enough of his own.
But you got a kissing scene with her. Was she a good kisser? You can say that.
I don't even remember, dude. I don't even remember.
You don't?
I wouldn't say if I did. I'm not getting involved. This is not
Come
my
on,
fight.
Hammer. We got a
Listen,
whole.
I have had
the
enough.
Greek chorus in here. They don't believe it.
I have had enough trial by media fire in my life. I'm good.
Fair enough. Then he's on this other podcast. And when I watched this, I was like, wow, if this is how people have been reading this case and reading this whole drama, and this is the reality that some people have about this, that is truly disturbing. disturbing. Just listen to how Armie Hammer explains this conflict between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni.
But he was trying to get you to talk about Blake Lively, and you wouldn't talk about it.
No.
And now it looks like she's going to get out of all of it. Are you aware of what's happening?
No.
All of the Justin Baldoni, his big $400 million lawsuit is
that's what
all
I'm saying.
thrown out.
But wasn't the crux of that lawsuit like you guys did not include an emoji? Like I think that's
No.
I think so,
you
dude.
Trashed me. It was
No,
you.
no, I don't think that's what it was.
I mean, either way, it's been thrown out.
Yeah, but like throwing it out because you guys trashed me is very different than throwing it out because like I'm upset you guys did not include an emoji.
An emoji in what though?
It was like a winking face. It was like he made some comment and then put an emoji at the end of it, and they took the emoji out when they printed his response. So I think that's where he tried to sue them for $400 million.
Okay, got it.
Yeah, there's so much misinformation there. He thinks that this is all about that emoji. Remember the emoji that the New York Times removed with an upside down smiley that means that this is sarcasm or this is irony, and they removed that, so it took away the full meaning or the entire meaning of that being a joke. He thinks everything is about that smiley upside down, and he also thinks that was a smiley that was sent from Baldoni, it seems. And to me, it seems like he's kind of supporting Blake Lively here. Very, very confusing to me. The person who sent this to me also pointed out that maybe Ryan Reynolds gave him a call after that Billy Bush interview. And it almost seems like that happened because now we know Armie Hammer really wants to get back into Hollywood. And he's thinking that this might be the strategy of being on Ryan Reynolds and Blake Lively's side here. But that answer was just like, where have you been? What are you talking about? Yeah, I think Armie Hammer needs to stay canceled after that comment. It's just like, yeah, enough of Armie Hammer. That was just disturbing to me. Anyways, I did see a very interesting analysis yesterday from Ashley Brianna Eve, who spoke about this in a way that I think she also heard it on someone else's channel. Dana, Daily Dose of Dana, had apparently talked about this, but I just had to mention it here too because I think this is so spot on and needs to be mentioned. Remember, Blake Lively received the Time 100 Most Influential People like award. She was on that list and she had this speech talking about other victims and blah, blah, blah. Like they're pointing out now, where is Blake Lively when it comes to support of Devin Labella? Where is she now when Devin Labella, who accused Kevin Costner of forcing her to be a part of a RAPE scene in one of his movies, and she felt forced and she's suing him over it. Where's Blake Lively? Isn't she supposed to be out there supporting this woman in her claims against Kevin Costner? Isn't this what this was all about? Coming out there, supporting other women, other victims.
So many women around afraid to speak, especially right now, afraid to share their experiences, and fear is by design. It's what keeps us silent. But I also acknowledge that many people don't have the opportunity to speak. So I do feel fortunate that I've been able to. And it's the women who have had the ability to use their voice that's kept me strong and you know, helped me in my belief and my fight for the world to be safer for women and girls.
Where is she? Like when she came out with her allegations against Justin Baldoni, first person to come out and support her was Amber Heard. Where is she now? Why isn't she supporting her? Oh, she doesn't want to be on the wrong side of Kevin Costner, maybe? That's how deep this is for Blake Lively. I wonder what it is. Does Blake Lively not have the guts to stand up and give a voice to this woman as well? She's much more famous than her. Or is it that she doesn't really give a crap because it's not about her? As you know, Blake Lively has supported filmmakers like Woody Allen and Harvey Weinstein. So for her to put this hat on as this like voice for other victims and for women, it's ridiculous to begin with. And now she had a chance to actually prove that there was anything to it, and she chose not to. Also, there is an exclusive story in People magazine. They're saying here, Blake Lively can't keep this Betty Buzz flavor in stock at home. My husband and I drink at least 5 a day. Snag her top Betty Buzz picks on sale on Amazon Prime Day. This, to me, should be illegal. And this should be reported to Federal Trade Commission because this is illegal marketing. They're not marking this article as advertisement. It's illegal. They're saying in tiny, tiny, tiny letters here that if you click on links we provide, we may receive compensation. Who reads those small letters? Anyways, it's all about how amazing Blake Lively's drinks are and how much you can get them for now. There's prices on each product and you can get them, guess what, for 30% off. And guess why? Because no one wants to buy Blake Lively's product or support her. I wonder how much they paid People magazine for this story. I find it so disgraceful that they're doing stuff like this. And as I said, I think it's illegal. And as I said, I think someone should report it to FTC. Also, I was going through my feed yesterday and I saw this story on page 6 talking about how Blake Lively is going to be in the hot seat as Justin Baldoni's legal battle moves one step forward, talking about her deposition. Guess who commented on that? Dr. Leslie Dobson. Remember her, the one that's in all the subpoenas that Justin Baldoni's team sent to Blake Lively's team, the one who's been so pro Blake Lively and making up conspiracy theories and spreading misinformation like there's no tomorrow. She made up a story that I walked over to Blake Lively and touched her pregnant stomach before I sat down and did that interview. She's commenting here saying, depositions are always moving around and it's not the hot seats. When you're telling the truth, it's just a recorded conversation. Relax, people. I've been in dozens. I don't doubt that she's been in dozens of these because she must get sued all the time from people that she's making up stories about. I find it so fascinating that she's still out there defending Blake Lively. Of course, it's not like just a normal conversation. You are being grilled by Brian Friedman. That's not just a relaxed conversation. And keep in mind that Blake Lively has no evidence so far, and she's going to have to remember all the lies that she made up. It's so much harder to remember a lie than to remember the truth. Anyways, you guys, that's it for me. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Tomorrow is Friday and it's my podcast day, and I have a very special guest with me who has been managed by Blake Lively's mother. She has some really interesting stories for you guys. So please stay tuned for that. And if you haven't subscribed to my channel yet, please do and hit the notification bell so you don't miss an episode of Blossom Talk.